my Discord, and when I swap into TradingView as well. So you can all see it. Perfect. Thank you so much. Then I will be starting with an update of the Bitcoin chart that we highlighted as well in the past days, as we had this crazy nuke the other day, in which I think most of us only bought spot and played a little bit of leverage in between. But of course, now if you have a few days passing and you're looking back, you're always like, hey, this really was perfectly in the golden pocket. We reclaimed a very crucial level, uh, point of control as well. So this is and was confirmed as the local bottom a few days ago. Still, we did reject at the neckline of the previous crash. Why neckline? Because like this is the term as you could like refer to a human body, where you have here the neckline and then going down to the shoulders, which is a point that we must reclaim here on Bitcoin. This is this mapped out 95K, 96K level, where you also see the 0.27 Fibonacci extension, which is solely the reason why I updated you guys also in Alpha Aggregator that this is the first major take profits area. And I cannot stress this enough how much I really like the logic of scaling your levels. So if you have a first take profit area, you could still, or at least I would recommend that if you say like, hey, that would be the 95K level, but if price is at 94K, there is no reason to be really greedy. So at least take half profits, as I like to enter and exit positions laddered into 2 or 3 orders maybe. Um, Currently, we are going the route that I would see in the market as being more healthy, as we said, because the problem is if we're just straight up, if we would have just straight up bolster here to 100K, you would have an incredible amount of inefficiency, which means that the nuke afterwards would hurt even more. And currently, and you will see that reflected in all the other charts, currently what we are doing on Bitcoin and therefore on every other cryptocurrency um, is something really great, because we had the rock bottom here around 80K, had another extreme sell off, creating a higher low, which is also now confirmed. Um, you have continuously higher highs, which is also the number one reasoning for me to say, hey, a pullback here and holding this level, in this case, we can then also like adjust this box a little bit here to the upside, would be absolutely the best thing for us to see for a continuation of this local uptrend towards 100K. But this is only possible if the next dip stops before 86K, right? Because as soon as we start closing the next high a little bit lower, or if the next low is below 84K, then all of this is lost, will be lost, and will lead us definitely to a crash below $80,000. I do believe that the crash below $80,000 is coming anyways, but for now, I think this level to level plan on Bitcoin, therefore also translating into your other ecosystems, is the most efficient thing that you can do. Because if Bitcoin, yes, of course, Ethereum and Hype can look absolutely fantastic, but if Bitcoin is crashing $10,000, the whole market will feel it, right? Therefore, I'd like to jump to the second biggest altcoin after covering Bitcoin, but just on a higher time frame, where we have Ethereum on the daily. Let us really zoom out, okay? Just to get a grasp on how crucial this level here, where we bounced off, really was as a point of control. Like you see, I've scrolled out almost 2 years, 2 full years, and the point of control is exactly this level between the $2,500, $2,600 level, which means if we would ever lose this level, then the crash will be way over 20%. But so far we bounced off of this level. You see how beautiful this level is. And this is what I'd really like to emphasize is there are extremely beautiful and clear levels, and those are worth buying, those are worth trading, and those are worth your time. And there are levels that simply aren't. So anything here, remotely here in this area, in my opinion, is a crazy buying opportunity. The issue that we just have with Ethereum is, as you can see here, we had from so many rallies lower highs, similar highs, and rejections that Ethereum will always have an extreme stress test trying to go over the 4K area. Whereas I think, like, at least from to my understanding, I'd say you can almost see it as a guarantee that whenever Ethereum really breaks the $4,000 mark, like for the next time, we're just straight up heading towards 5K, right? And that is, I think, something positive to look out for. But you basically have a very efficient range. Like just look at this. How often we have been able to just trade this, and this is what I would really just like to treat it as such, is that Ethereum is simply ranging. There is no once in a lifetime opportunity in here. It's simply not true because you see, we've touched it what, 6 times? One, two, three, four, five. No, the sixth time on the downside, and one, two, three, four, five on the upside. So I think trading those extremes is a very smart and very good thing to do. The next big hurdle would be here. So let me highlight this level as well, which has just been a point of rejection, very often marked a little local top, also acted as a support here, right? So these are my three major level, as you guys requested a little bit, like just give the bigger levels that really make sense. What does this mean for me? Um, since Bitcoin is looking as it is, I would say the play here
GM.
is simple. Should Bitcoin lose this 87K level, yeah, and would not continue this technically beautiful uptrend that we have right now, then this here, this level here for Ethereum would again simply start deviating here for print and SFP, leading you towards going back to the range. Should Bitcoin, and I'm really saying this like because Bitcoin is at such a crucial level, should Bitcoin simply print a higher low here, then you will have a break above here and we'll see Ethereum tagging the 3.8K level. Right, so either here, in which case you would pray for a higher low. This could happen. Bitcoin sneezes a little bit, and Ethereum would maybe then try to aim for something like this. But really treat it as a range, as it is a range, nothing more, nothing less. Just updating that a little bit also additionally in text. Should Bitcoin successfully continue lower highs and therefore the uptrend, then I can see Ethereum heading towards $3,800. Otherwise, we should reject quite soon and retest the bottom of the range. Right. Next up is our classic Sol. I think Sol has a way more beautiful rounded bottom here. Also, we have Abu Dhabi coming up, where also we're probably chances are, as usual, with the breakpoint event itself and the little events from DeFi ecosystems and partners around it, is that you have a release of positive news, as projects just tend to hold them back so they can say it while the founders are on stage to create a nice vibe and everything. So chances are that around breakpoint, some really cool things could be released for projects like Meteora or Jupiter, as we had back then in Katstanbul, or maybe also Solana itself, which could just lead um, for short-term bounces and pumps that don't necessarily have to do with how the market is really looking or with a technical analysis per se, because this is a heavily news driven event where, let's say, as frankly as we should, like, just the market doesn't care about the lines that we're drawing when there are heavy news events. Best example is how the global markets always reacted to escalations of Iran, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia conflicts, or when Trump said voiced some really crazy um, opinions, right? Um, what we can detect immediately here is a rounded bottom on Solana, where we can see an extreme shift in aggression, right? Because you can basically draw like one single line down here, which was simply endless selling for 2 3 weeks straight. It's absolutely incredible how much Solana lost in value within only like 2 weeks. Like it feels so long, right? Like 2 3 weeks, of course. We had the bounces in between that also started here already, but this is just a straight line down, right? Like the aggression is insane, and you can almost draw the line from here to there. But what you can definitely see, just as of right now, just for this week and this day, while being aware of all the risks in the market, is that you do not have this anymore. For the first time, um, like really, guys, 40%, almost half the value was gone within 3 weeks. This is absolutely insane. But what you can clearly see, guys, on a little positive note, is you had those bounces are not like really meaningful, but still, like, in the grand scheme, you just had a lower low after a lower low, like a tiny spring, and then again a crazy crash. But what is different a little bit this time, at least for the last week, is that we really had a steady grind, yes, again, followed by a nuke. But this is the first time that after a little recovery, and this is what is important to me, right? Like, you have the initial nuke, little recovery, squeeze out the really late shorts, right? The people that open up here, 50x leverage shorts or so, they all got wrecked. Boom, way deeper nuke. Little straddle to the upside, take out shorters, get people into believing, oh, this bearish trend might be over. Boom, lower, lower, lower. And for now, you have a little bit of a shift in aggression in the momentum as we had for the first time now. Let me just get rid of those ugly ones. Bottom. First, higher, low. After recovery. Just so people that maybe don't watch the stream can really understand what we want to say with this, right? Like this was the first time that you have a higher low here, which is why it's immensely crucial. Like this here is our line in the sand. You see, there was a lot of volume going on, a lot of aggression in the market. So here we have a very nice line in the sand. Why do I think this is a nice one? Simply because it's so clean, it's so meaningful, and it can define your risk so super well, right? So let's say price is coming down a little bit more as it goes hand in hand with the Bitcoin analysis, right? Then you just know that this here, something here, can be your entrance level with a perfectly well defined stop loss. Yeah, and this is not about winning this trade or not, but it is an extremely clean way of trading, right? Like it doesn't matter. Let's say you start here. I think a target would be this level, something at 150, 155. As you can just figure that those are meaningful levels, right? Why are they meaningful levels? Because price really built up here. Price tried like, or the market tried after the bottom, because here was no liquidity. You will just like through those levels, the market will also just pump back up to the upside. You saw that here, like price just nuked crazily twice. So you can do the same thing to the upside as well. That would be from here as well. But this level here is immensely crucial, because this, if this starts acting as a resistance, then the market will just really see another nasty whatever 10, 15, 20% to the downside. But should you be able to flip this level, right, then you would have your next long, or probably somewhere like this, because you really want this level to be flipped again with a stop loss again below that level, because as soon as you lose this level, you will just directly rocket back to $141. Now on this high time frame chart, this doesn't look so big, but that's a $10 move. That's a 6% with a little bit of leverage. Those are really meaningful levels. So that's why I wanted to use Solana to highlight how I would be also looking for a longer term continuation of a bull market. So when we say, hey, yeah, I'm taking profits, whatever, somewhere 150, $155, price goes up more, and people like, hey, so where would I re-enter? So if the bullish trend is confirmed, you would re-enter new longs on a confirmed support resistance flip on a level like this, would also flip the neckline of the initial crash. Yeah, so here you would have a 2-in-1 play. You would not want to buy something here and be like, no, 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 this is excuse me, confirmed. But if you have this flipped, then this would be something that I would be looking for next, right? Here you have like a small point of control. Here you would have flip this as well to the upside. Let's just make it like a super clean 2 to 3 to 1 play to the upside. That would it be for here. On the downside, guys, honestly, I would never like try to just take profit here. I would do the prematurely here, because what could be happening is that we get this long. Yeah, just something like this if this rounded bottom can play out. Um, and then you could still have, even though the market is nice or whatever, or maybe it's simply not, um, then you would have the rejection play from here, where you would want to short here. I wouldn't even wait until here, but also here, I would know that I am wrong on the short if we flip this, because this would be the level where I'm then playing the upside again, right? And this is what I mean when I say, hey, I think Solana looks a little bit different really than the others, um, because the levels are simply so clear. And the beauty of this is you can really define your stop loss so beautifully. The thing is, um, we will have to also please, of course, I'm painting the stop loss and the entry and the take profit. Those are clear levels that you see here. But this really depends on the trading style. Yeah. Like if you enter here or you enter down here or you have your stop loss here or there, this will obviously determine that you see someone taking a similar idea as you, or you and me just take this long. But if you size maybe too big for what stresses you or what doesn't stress you too early, and then you get a bit nervous and you're down already whatever $500 or $1,000 on your trade, but now is only the, let's say you did it here, okay, and our price is down here, which is the level where I would personally just add way more, because it's do or don't. Maybe the trade gets busted or not. Then this can obviously determine people are in the kind of same position as you, take a similar trade, but one person gets stopped out. You should also not be mad about this, because if you're mad about getting stopped on a position, it just means that your size was too big, right? But those are the ideas that I believe um, that are extremely clean on this asset at least. So something that could happen is we bounce, or we only bounce to here, right? But what I just want to stress is you have a nice market structure here. The issue is wherever the short play would be, okay, depending on how low it goes, you could basically almost immediately start reshorting something then anytime soon, because the big problem is if we print a higher low here, right? And as soon as price breaks this higher low, then the whole setup, the whole bullish momentum would be done, and Solana will be looking to go below $100, right? So those are all the trading ideas, all the levels. So lose this level, downtrend confirmed. Solana will retest $100 or lower. Okay. Chart looks busy, yes, but it basically isn't, right? You simply have your price action. You would want to have a bounce here. You could have a rejection here. As soon as you lose this level, in my opinion, then everything that we're building up here is gone, and Solana will literally go below $100. Otherwise, flip this level and we're going to $190. This simply means we have 4 super clean trades on well mapped out levels, and therefore it's one of my favorite charts currently in the market, because there haven't been many assets where we had to say so much. Solana with incredibly clean levels, in my opinion. The continuation or rejection of those will determine absolutely clean setups, take profits, targets, stop losses. Then last crypto chart for today is Hype, and then I'll just have a little update for Porsche, followed by Bloomberg Energy Corporation, which together with Google were request from Asian. Shout out to my boy. Thank you for recording always. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. And I will just quickly grab a glass of water because I start coughing too much. Okay, sweet. So, as I've posted in the aggregator, those were obviously only the important levels for now. Someone asked me if the fact that I have 4 lines to the downside and only 3 lines to the upside mean that I'm leaning bearish. Obviously, this has nothing to do with this, because this only means that, in my opinion, there are more support levels than resistance levels on Hype, okay? Just so we are absolutely clear on that one. That has nothing to do with it. That being said, as we can take from here and all the previous analysis, everything depends on Bitcoin when we are not like in a full-blown all-season bull market, which is the case in 10 out of 12 months, I would say. So also Hype will not solely do its own thing. Yes, you have Zcash that has often some incredibly some incredible strong spikes to the upside, but Zcash also simply lost 50% of its value overnight, right? So this is often very, very short term, so we simply must be careful. I do believe one of the absolutely biggest areas of opportunity for Hype will be this extension. Also interesting how that works, right? Of the golden pocket. 618269 for me, like, yes, the 69 is a meme number. Most people I think have 0.681 or something like this, but those levels always vary. But what I just want to point out, and why I like the simplicity of this chart and why I don't have anything else in here, is because for Hype it's just super clean levels, and you will always have the thing with Hype and Hyperliquid ecosystem that they have such a huge first mover advantage, such a high market share, and are also banging out product after product. I've had a very interesting conversation with a talented trader, very skilled guy, where I raised like the point that maybe it could be that Hype could now do what Solana did in the FTX crash, followed by this glorious run, right? Like you remember, Solana back then had all-time high prices. I think I can visualize you that here. Those were the first all-time highs, right, on Solana. And let me just visualize for you the price range, what I mean. So Solana went down here in the FTX crash, right, like to like $8. I remember taking profits on a long at like $17. Like in hindsight, if I would have held that, I would just be a billionaire, right? But that's not how emotions work in those situations. But what I quickly just want to say, FTX crash is often viewed as being a completely unique experience. This is absolutely not true. We had Mt. Gox, we had the Luna crash, we had insane buying and selling in between as well, or BitMEX just holding up the price. Then, of course, we had FTX, but there is and was also the COVID crash, China, whatever politics. I'm just saying something like this will happen again. It kind of happened this year already. But from there, we then had the real run with Solana, okay? Just super quickly wanted to illustrate it to you guys. What I mean here with hype is that this is kind of the level where it came from. Initially, I think when the airdrop of hype commenced and the token going live, there were a few days in which hype was trading at like $3, $4, not $8 to $10. That being said, this is like the ultimate route. And I had the thesis that hype could technically have a similar experience than Sol and Solana ecosystem before really expanding to the upside. And this guy just told me like, hey, the issue with hype going down so low, in his opinion, would be that hype could start losing an insane amount of market share because it could lose power. I think that's a very valid point. Yeah, that's why I wanted to tell you that. But in the defense of my point, when price goes down so low on hype, then the price will go down even lower on other exchange coins, meaning that hype would not lose as much market share because in that case everything is so fucked, right? Still, point being, if we are in a very extended downtrend going on for months and months and months, that would allow the competition to catch up on the products. So now let's look at this. Hype or Felix and Trade XYZ, all those platforms are looking to build here and release different oracles, stock prices, equities, whatever. This is cool, this is new. But now let's look into a future where you have 4, 5, or 10 exchanges that all offer the same. Then you would have quite a situation like you have with Binance, Bybit, BitGet, Blowfin, all those platforms, that you just have an incredibly healthy competition. It is better for us as users. That is also something that I want to stress. And I very much believe, especially into a hyperliquid DeFi summer, because it just makes sense on that platform. Maybe you heard my cat, Coco. Um, But yeah, I think for us as users, we should never be mad about the possibility. And I mapped out those two levels, or this year as a huge target for hype, also in the last stream. But I just want to tell you guys, it would be possible if hype is just not the only ecosystem anymore. But I stand with the opinion that, like, think about it. Yes, Solana has its initial run, which was solely, like, not solely driven by NFTs, but this was the craze back then, right? But after the FTX crash, Solana started the DeFi summer. So after the FTX crash, Solana ecosystem witnessed the DeFi breakthrough. We saw something similar with Ethereum, Matic, Kronos ecosystems. Kronos, if someone, like probably a lot of you never heard about Kronos, um, we played it quite heavily also in AlphaBlock, um, and also with Nifty Boys. Kronos was or is the crypto.com ecosystem. So something like imagine Binance Smart Chain, okay? Like that's just it. Um, so what I just want to stress is that usually you have the first run up, which is just price or the initial product, but then the DeFi summer is in the second run. So my conclusion is that the DeFi X TradFi run will be the meta of 2026 and 2027. Okay. So this is a huge thesis that I have that I am preparing for. So I would advise you to think about the ecosystems that you want to play this with, okay? I just saw your message, Asian. Of course, you can vouch for people because the vouching system here is trust based. That's why it's called vouching because you are like in Germany, we say, die Hand ins Feuer legen. So you're putting your hand into the fire for someone else. If that person turns out to be a scammer, the person that vouched for this person gets kicked. The other way around, if you're inviting legends, good friends, and talented people in here, and ecosystem benefits from this, then not only those people get rewarded in AlphaBlock, but also the people that got them in. So I think that's very beautiful. Um, so my absolute zone of interest, biggest zone of interest hype is 24 to 28, let's say 20 to 30. Should we go below that? I will be buying all the way to $8 because this is just the same thing that I saw with Solana and FTX. But I think this will then slowly, like this would maybe be the time, maybe that would be the time in which I could see myself buying the biggest NFT in the ecosystem. Maybe those are hypers. Um, so let's just look at it one more time. Anything from 20 to 30, okay? But this golden pocket would just be so beautiful. And guys, it looks like this is here. Like it looks like the price is here. Literally, that's where we are. It's not, right? This can be a minus 30% from here. So, okay, if we look at that, also from that angle, what is this? It's just a 2 to 1 if you have it with the stop down here, right? Like, but that's what I want to stress. Like with this, with hype, you can literally, if you're not doing it just for the leverage or with a stop loss, but you can literally bet on zero and you're still looking to double or triple your money plus the leverage and the yield in a DeFi ecosystem. Okay, this is super important for me to understand. In this case, you're not only betting on hype doubling. This was similar like when Sol went from 100 to $200, and you had all the crazy yield in between. Let's just check whose castle. I can quickly vouch for him. Thanks, mate. So, TLDR, you can have a beautiful 2 to 3 or 4 to 1, yeah, ratio, while probably heading into something like DeFi summer. Amazing. Just super quick update on Porsche stock. And a little story that I want to tell you guys is I find it very interesting that a lot of us, me including, I'm also like, I also traded Bonk, Fartcoin, you know, all those, yeah, absolute shit coins, meme coins, coins where we knew that they will be a rug, whatever. Um, how often did we also just post some contract address of a coin where you know, like probably it's going to rug within 1 or 2 days, but you can quickly get a 2-3x out of it. And that's part of the game, right? Because we also label it as that. And I never heard anyone complain, or like not complain, there was no complaint, but say anything about this. The second I dropped the Porsche chart, like this was not in AlphaBlock and not in Infinite. Uh, but the second I dropped the Porsche chart, there were like two other really cool trading discords that I'm part of with great and smart people in it. But there was just this little phenomenon that I dropped the Porsche stock chart, which is up by the way. It's up 6% since I brought it to you. Um, and you immediately see a change in tone of some people and explaining to you why this company's future doesn't have this or that, or yeah, instead of Porsche, just go for Mercedes or BMW. I also think that BMW has a greater future than Porsche. The thing is just that those are companies. They will not go bankrupt because they have way much more brand value and historic value than some people would ever want to admit. Like those companies would always get rescued. But I'm just saying, I just wanted to share that with you that I find it super funny that when I post a fart coin chart or a useless chart, that people are just like, ah, yeah, cool. I also have some fart coin. I hope it goes up. The second you drop a Porsche chart or we speak about Boeing or Google, people immediately come up with why the company doesn't deserve the value or whatever. The fair value of Porsche is like with just with their depending on their income, where the market cap should be with their revenue. Um, the fair value of Porsche is of the company is somewhere here in this area. Okay. Um, so this trend trade, even if you don't believe in this just being an uptrend, then and a breakout, right? Um, then you could look, or I will look a little bit more into that, just figuring out maybe I can make an indicator or something like this. By the way, the indicator is being refined very well. I will try to upload it one more time on TradingView on the weekend, probably on Sunday, but then I will have to wait a few days um, if they come up with some stupid problem again. But I figured also two other platforms on which I can also release them. I will look that those have a free sign up, so you can just use the indicator, right? But what I think what would be cool, note, create an indicator or scanner that maps out the fair value of a company stock. In the case of Porsche, stock went up over 7% since we first shared it. P911 is priced in below fair value of the company as of now. Okay, so I believe this trade to the upside is playing out really nicely. I shared it here. Now we're up like 10% already, right? And I do believe that Porsche can go here in the long term. That being said, there will also be some fucking bullshit again from Trump or whomever, fighting with each other, someone declaring war. All it needs is like two more military ships around Taiwan or anything escalating, right? And this will also have an impact on stocks. But I do believe that this is a beautiful trade. It's an absolutely great company, building one of the best cars on earth. And I will also be charting BMW in the future, as this was also a request. I think it's worth just posting the chart update and then we go over towards the stocks that Asian requested. Let me quickly post this into the aggregator while we talk about it. Porsche stock update. Price is up 10% since we shared it first. Still trading below the fair value. Clean chart, great company. Cool. Now we're heading over to really cool charts. Thank you for bringing them up, Asian. Um, what do we start with? I think Google. Google has such a cool and clean uptrend. I absolutely love it. I will just quickly look at the chart. It's just so beautiful. It's beautiful for multiple reasons. Number one, there will be an insane shorting opportunity. Just kidding. No, of course, there will be a great shorting opportunity. Um, but I do love Google also as a company. Yes, I know there will, with such companies, always be people that are just like, yeah, they are the devil or not. That doesn't matter. Number one, in trading. Number two, um, if you have moral issues with those things, or like if you want to put it in comparison, I think it's way worse um, to trade arms dealers in war times just because they go up. But even that, like you're here to trade, and I think those tech companies are great. You see, I also have the colorway here. If you switch off Claude, because I love the colorway. I love to use Claude also for coding. And AI and big tech is the future, was the future, and will be the future. So it is foolish not to take part. What you can see here clearly, what I'm doing here is again, in case this is your first stream, you can determine the aggression of a trend by simply plotting out the trend line. And as soon as you need to accelerate the trend line, is here again, you just see a tendency towards going parabolic. Okay. The only issue that I have with this beautiful trend is that we are now going absolutely parabolic without any retest. Okay. So what we had back here is perfection. Okay. You had the bottom 2020, like the COVID times. You had a fantastic top where the company 3x its value. We went straight into the golden pocket and had a wonderful extension directly in the Fibonacci extension levels. On top of that, we retested the previous all-time high, right? This is a perfect chart in that sense. This is what I'm missing right now. Okay? Bottom. Man, it's so beautiful. All-time high. Retest into the golden pocket. Just getting rid of those lines so the chart is cleaner. How beautiful is it, guys? Golden pocket. Retest 3 times. You had so many opportunities to buy this. Rejection 1 time at all-time high, as we also said, what could be for Ethereum and co. Flip resistance into support, even use the old all-time highs twice as a support. Before that, market clearly indicated a higher high, then strafed you and took the liquidity out a little bit before absolutely blasting off, right? Like, this is perfection in terms of TA, in terms of trend following, okay? Perfect respecting, perfect respect towards fibs, retested golden pocket in 2023 before blasting into the extension. That's why I also posted the chart, so please take a good look. I think this is a chart that you can even print out. So you just fully understand or have a perfect example of how a perfect uptrend can look like, right? If you just have a beautiful run towards an all-time high or so, and this is also what we try to replicate right now with the logic of hype, is that at some point it doesn't have to be perfectly the golden pocket. It would have also been super okay if price went down 10-20% lower. But it's about the ballpark respecting of this trend. And what you then had is, firstly, a completely natural reaction that you reject at an all-time high simply because so many people will always tend, so many people, algorithms, funds, investment funds, private people, professionals, old people, young people. When you have an asset and it's on a great run, the same was with Solana, and you near old all-time high levels, people will always firstly take some profits. But we kept the uptrend going, bounced twice, and are now on this parabolic run. This is Google is a textbook chart. Right? So if we quickly flip to hype, this is exactly what we want. You're at the bottom, you had the all-time high. You want to see something around the golden pocket to be retested before doing this beautiful move that Google did and is doing right now. And then if we just go to the right side of the chart, just looking at what is going on exactly right now, then we just have two things. Okay, I have my riot momentum here. Can use any oscillator you want. And so what we had here, right, price went up higher, relative strength didn't, which was a perfect reason that if you want to short such an asset or bet on being able to rebuy, this is the case here. Now, you do not have a bearish divergence, right? RSI oscillators are going up with price going parabolic. The question is no only how much longer can it really stay parabolic? Is it even worth it to, let's say we repeat it one more time, something like this. There's no big worth in like trying to mega short it, but as soon as the momentum shifts here, the thing is just that it would be a free short, okay? In that case, I would be looking at this level. This level. So if you want to short this or just buy more of the Google stock, that is up to you. Since it's such a powerhouse as a company and also going with AI and IT infrastructure hosting, BART, Gemini, whatever, like really risky to try to short that. Unsure if this is the trade that you would want to do compared to rather just buying one of the best companies in the world, right? Why do I have those percent markers here? It's just because whenever there was like a little like not up only move, let's call it like this in the parabola, I was just counting from that point. Let me zoom in so you can see it better. What I like to do just in parabolas, just to measure them a little bit, is you always have like a little puke, up only, then tiny puke, up only, puke, bigger puke, okay? That's number one. For the first time, we saw a little bit more time also just going down, right? It looks so small, but here between the top 22nd of September to the 10th of October, was 3 weeks, almost a month of down only on Google, okay? Important to note. And what's now important is here we had twice nearly 30% upside, okay, guys? 30%, 30%. Then a longer nuke. And now we only went up 23%, 24% instead of 30%. Okay? That's why I'm writing incredible uptrend, slightly less aggression to the upside. Okay? And then we had again 2 weeks of down only, and now we only went up 21%. So what you can clearly see is, yes, one of the most beautiful charts out there, yes, in a parabola right now, but the parabolic moves to the upside are getting a little bit less aggressive to the upside, whereas the downtrends are coming slightly more. So this here could be, here you see that, that could be potentially gearing up for the next healthy retrace. Okay. Want to stress loud and clearly that I don't want to call a local top on such a company or on such a chart. If we break down from something like this and you lose the momentum, then you would obviously have the stop loss above this all-time high point and a take profit on something like this here, okay? And then from this level, you would be again looking for something like this, okay? The thing is just that I don't believe that the risk to reward is crazy here, given the fact that you're trading in a parabola. So if you have a 2-to-1 setup, yeah, cool. The thing is just the parabola needs to keep going to some degree, or not. And if the parabola ever stops, then you can still short it. But this is something like, let's say you have some retest here, then you would obviously say your stop loss would be below this point, because if we ever lose the 270 to like this area, then I really see Google at 200, right? So I think the better short would be at some degree from something like here. Okay. Like that's a hidden short for the future. If we lose that level, then you have a short here. Otherwise, for the upside, I think if we retest something like this here, because it's a really beautiful box, then you would be looking, let's say, something around this again, okay? Just in between, ballparking. Don't be too tight here. 20 something percent, okay? Then I would be looking for something like this. It's cool, right? Like you can still go with the trend. You mapped out your level and you just play with the continuation. Okay? If we ever lose this level, like this could be a little sneaky short in between. Yeah. I'm just putting the short back there because it is not the priority if I see something like this. Um, but this is how I would play it. Like you measure an average move to the upside. Average upside move is around 24%. So that's our target in the next retrace. Super clean, right? Super duper clean. Measure the move, have the levels mapped out, and wherever that would be, then you would kind of be looking for the same. Whenever parabola stops, you can try to short with stop loss above recent high. Also super clean. Super clean. Thank you for bringing it up. I only have Google with a few other stocks like Intel and Porsche in my spot holdings in my normal portfolio without leverage, but I think you can trade Google now on Hyperliquid, if that is correct. Google still a top-notch asset to maybe trade on Hyperliquid. I will just check if you guys said anything in the chat. Anything more? Or if you guys also want to speak about Infinite or what are you cooking? Yep, you can trade XYZ. How great is that? I love it. Yeah, thanks for the tip. I will look into that. And then lastly, Bloom Energy Corporation. Yeah, I just had my crayons on here. Right, just maps out interesting levels. So the thing is, as most stocks, it just went on a crazy run. And what I only prepared was the fib levels here with a golden pocket. And that's what I mean. Like, you don't care about like a little wick, but the bottom line is that the golden pocket uh, is here as a coincidence in the first run up before the nuke, and then here the reaccumulation. That was once the resistance, then yeah, resistance turned into support here. Golden pocket respected. So you see, it's such a nice bread and butter setup that I'm just looking just to determine the first look into a chart. And only if those things are not met that we are looking for, only in those cases, I'm looking for some other advanced TA or, um, yeah, let's say things that make it more complicated because I've just made the experience keep it as simple as possible. Um, just a good oscillator for you to help determine divergences or the momentum, VRVP for the levels, and then also, as you will figure, like with my indicator, like I included a TWAP. You will have one EMA, one TWAP, and then basically the signals in the indicator are not 1,000 indicators in itself, making it complicated, but those are just trading rules. And if those trading rules are met, then you have a visualization, okay? What I am seeing here right now with Bloom Energy is that it could potentially create a head and shoulders. Yeah, maybe not the most beautiful one. That's also what I just that's that's just my way of looking at things. You don't have to be too strict, like because someone says, ah, this is not a perfect rounded bottom. Is this a perfect bull flag or a bear flag? This is not a perfect head and shoulders. It's rather about ballpark and what it means. So we have a really nicely respected trend so far, but if we would get rejected here, then I just see the price coming down here again, okay? Not necessarily negative, because if this would imply that we could print a higher low at the 0.5, okay, here, then this would, in my opinion, be the thing that would allow you the strength, yeah, to flip this level then and to aim for the all-time highs. And should that obviously also do something, then you can have your extension. So allowing yourself to also look at something, right? Like, because maybe when I said that first, or you saw the chart and you're like, okay, he's directly looking at a head and shoulders. This is not negative. It's just that there is a potential that all the stocks have some trouble in the future, just depending on what happens politically. And if you then have an additional bearish catalyst, as an like here, head and shoulders playing out to the downside, then this could also create a higher low, allowing you the strength to not have too much inefficiency to aim for an all-time high and for an expansion. Obviously, should that not hold as a higher low, then yeah, this is the downside play. So this would be kind of my long in that sense for, yeah, up to here. Obviously, when you just want to keep it tight, the problem for me is if you long here, I would fucking hate it to have my stop loss and invalidation in the golden pocket, right? So it would probably be something a little bit more tight, as the number one trade obviously was from here. The second best, if you can get something into this box, I would have my stop loss definitely below here and then aim for the all-time highs. I think that's a decent trade. Like it's a decent 2-to-1 trade, okay? Because if this is not met, then yeah, it goes to the downside. But I think there are better charts to try shorting. So, yep. Oh, that's it with the stream. Maybe Vitalizing or Emilio or Asian, any one of you wants to go a little bit more into details or tease a little bit about your infinite collection, or maybe also say something about the markets.
What's the amount of NFTs needed for 1v1? That's a question. She'll ask.